Okay, so have you ever seen an ad? You know, one of those flashy ones, and it's like, you have to have this new gadget, even when, let's be honest, your old one works just fine.
It's like they're trying to tell us that happiness is about getting more and more stuff.
Right. And it's so easy to fall into that trap. I know I have. But what if there's another way to think about this? Like, what if true contentment isn't about material possessions at all?
That's what we're diving into today, resisting the pull of materialism. And you might be surprised to hear we're getting some guidance from a pretty ancient source.
Yeah, we're cracking open the book of Revelation.
Specifically, chapter 17.
Now, whenever I hear Revelation, I immediately think, okay, end of the world stuff. Not exactly your light reading material. So how does this connect to our 21st century shopping habits?
Well, you're right. Revelation is known for its intense imagery, but at its heart, it's all about staying true to your values in a world that's constantly trying to pull you off track. And the sermon we're looking at today, Concentrate Our Attention on His Will, it uses this really powerful metaphor from Revelation, the great harlot. She's covered in jewels and riches, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so not literal, right? There's got to be a deeper meaning here.
Exactly. It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
The harlot represents that seductive pull of worldly possessions, those things that promise you happiness, but they always seem to leave you wanting more.
So it's about getting caught up in the never-ending chase for stuff.
Precisely.
And the sermon also mentions this phrase, the wine of her fornication. I gotta admit, that one threw me for a loop. What does that even mean in this context?
It's definitely a powerful image. Think of it this way. Fornication, in this case, isn't about the physical act. It's about straying from your values, letting yourself be seduced by something that's ultimately harmful. And the wine, that represents how intoxicating that pursuit of material wealth can be. You get so caught up in getting more that you lose sight of what truly matters.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. It's like that feeling you get when you buy something new, that initial excitement, but then it fades and you're left wanting the next thing.
Exactly. It's important to note, the text isn't saying you can't enjoy nice things. It's about what happens when those things become your primary focus, almost like idols in your life.
It's when the stuff overshadows your personal growth, your spiritual side.
You've got it. It's about priorities, where you're truly investing your heart.
It's like that saying, you can't serve two masters. And the sermon talks about this being part of Satan's strategy, right?
You're picking up on a key point here. The sermon suggests that Satan, the master of deception, uses our desire for material things to distract us from a higher purpose.
It's like a magician using misdirection. We're so fixated on the shiny object, we don't even realize we're being pulled away from the things that truly matter.
And that's where the real danger lies.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in those distractions, you know, especially in today's world.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere you look, right? Ads everywhere.
Constantly.
And then there's that pressure to keep up with everyone else you know. Like you got to have the latest thing just because your neighbor does.
It's like our self-worth gets tied to our possessions. So how do we break free from that? The sermon mentions rejecting worldly allure, but what does that actually look like day to day?
That's the million-dollar question right there. The sermon points to a verse from 1 John 2:15. Do not love the world or the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. But before you think we're suggesting everyone become monks or something.
Right, give up all your possessions.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about that. It's about shifting your focus.
Okay, so more of a mindset change. Gotcha. But how do you actually do that when those tempting ads are following you around online?
It's a constant battle, right?
Yeah.
But you know what the sermon suggests? Gratitude. Like really taking the time to appreciate what you already have.
Oh, that's so true. I notice whenever I start feeling grateful for what I do have, suddenly that new gadget doesn't seem quite so important.
Right. It's all about perspective. And the sermon also talks about mindful consumption. Asking yourself, do I really need this? Or am I just falling for a marketing trick?
Could I actually be content with what I have? Maybe even find joy in having less?
Exactly. It's about making intentional choices, not just impulse buys.
Because that buyer's remorse feeling, no fun, but there's so much more to life than just buying stuff, isn't there?
Absolutely. And this leads right into another key point from the sermon, focusing on experiences rather than possessions.
Like spending time with people you care about.
Exactly. Or pursuing hobbies, connecting with nature, creating memories. Those are the things that truly enrich your life.
It's funny how the things we remember most fondly usually aren't the things we bought, right? It's those experiences, those moments that really stick with you.
100%. Like that amazing trip you took, or even just a simple picnic in the park with family. Those are the things that truly matter.
It's so easy to get caught in that cycle,
Yeah.
wanting the next new thing. But you're right, it's the experiences, those connections that really make life rich.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into resisting materialism, is there anything else from the sermon that might help us navigate all this? Well, it's not like the sermon gives us some kind of magic formula, and that's probably a good thing. It's more like a reminder, this whole resisting materialism thing. It's a journey.
It's a choice we're making every single day.
Exactly. And it's about constantly checking in with yourself. Like, okay, what are my values? Am I living those out? Making sure your actions match what you believe deep down.
So it's not about being perfect, right? Like becoming totally detached from material things. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah, finding that healthy balance.
Yeah.
And being intentional. And it takes courage,
Right.
because sometimes it means going against what everyone else is telling you.
Absolutely. It's powerful stuff. And it's amazing to think that a text as ancient as Revelation still has so much to say about our modern world.
Right. It shows you those temptations, the materialism. It might look different today, but that struggle, that's timeless.
So true. Well, before we go, I think it's only right to leave our listeners with something to chew on, something to think about. If we agree that success isn't about how much money you have or the stuff you own, then how do we redefine it? What does success look like when it's about your values, your spiritual growth, your impact on the world? Something to ponder long after this deep dive is over.
That's a question worth asking. And I have a feeling we'll all come up with different answers, but they can all be meaningful in their own way.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep.